Hi, today we are going to see different integration design pattern. Today is more kind of theory and it's not a the end-to-end demo for any exercise. It's a theory one. I'll just tell you, what are the different integration pattern it's commonly used in the enterprise service bus. So you can use any software in your organization, any integration software, but this is common across all the integration platform. So I'll just go to what are the different integration pattern we are going to see today. File-based integration pattern, JDBC integration pattern, batch processing and scheduled job integration pattern, publish subscribe, polling consumer, point-to-point, operating system command execution pattern, guaranteed delivery pattern, web service synchronous consumer pattern, web service provider pass-through pattern. So these are the pattern we are going to see. First, we will see what is file-based integration pattern. So I'll open the diagram. Okay, so I opened draw.io directly from the online. So I'm going to do a drawing here, mainly to show what is file-based integration pattern. Okay, so to do the file-based integration, so we need two system. So I'll just put system A and B. For example, system A wants to send some data from system A to B. So then this file pattern will be used. Okay, I'll just connect these two systems. 1 minute. Okay, so what we are trying to do is we are trying to connect two system mainly to exchange the data. For example, I wanted to pass some information from system A to B. Then we will choose for file-based integration. Typically, most of the application generates file as output. In that case, we need to transfer that information to another system. Then what we will do is, so we will pick the files from one system and drop it to another system. So in this integration technique, we can use ESB in between. So I'll just put ESB here. Okay, so for example, you have middleware ESB, so that's here. Okay, so what you can do is from ESB, you can do two things here. One is you can poll the files. Poll means you can schedule job at ESB, which can poll the file from system A every 5 minutes or every configured schedule, and from there it can send the file. Okay, so it can process the file to the system B. Okay, so this is one kind of pattern in the file integration pattern. For example, I'm taking the files from system A because I wanted to exchange the information from here to system B. So I use ESB, enterprise service bus middleware. Through that, I'm polling the data and processing the file to system B. So when I say processing the file, okay, so when I say the file, it could be your flat file, or it could be your XML file, or it could be any other format. So when I say process the file, once you pick the file, you need to send the file to the downstream. So the system B. So it could be some kind of transformation as well. For example, from the system A, you have received a flat file. System B needs that in a XML format. Okay, so that is transformation. And on top of that, how I'm going to exchange the data to system B? Is it through which protocol? So the transport protocol also comes into the process layer. So when I say when I want to send the data to system B, I can use a FTP, I can use SFTP, or I can use HTTP, or any other protocol I can use to send the data to system B. So one is what we are doing is we are polling it. Second, we are processing the file. When I say processing the file, I can send the same file, or based on my requirement, I can convert that file to some other format and send it to that system through different format. Okay, so this is one. So this is simple file-based integration, and this is kind of system A to B simple integration. Okay, so I'll just copy this one. I'll put it in the next one. Okay, so this is next one. So next what we are going to do is, instead of sending to one system, I wanted to send it to multiple system. Okay, so for example, the same information I wanted to exchange with two different system. So from this system, I wanted to send it to two different system. Okay, so here what it is happening is, I'm taking a data from one system A, and from ESB I'm polling it, and then based on my schedule, and I'm processing the file to two different systems. For example, I'm sending to system B and system C. Okay, so for this is sending the data to many different systems. It's not only two, you can send it to many systems. For example, I wanted to exchange the same information to multiple systems. So when I pick the file, I'll process it and I'll send it to system B. Maybe system B wants this data in a XML format. Okay, so system C want this data in a flat file format. So then I can give the data. Okay, so for example, again, you want one more system to take the similar data, the information. For example, I'm receiving a purchase order from the system A. Okay, so which they need for multiple systems, system A, system B, system C, and system D as well. So in that case, I'm okay, so I'm sending to system B. I'm pulling the file from system A. I'm sending to system B in XML format, system C in a flat file format, and system D in a, for example, this is the database, so I need to send it through JDBC. So this kind of option is available in the file integration pattern. So this is for sending the data to some heterogeneous system. So I wanted to send the data to different kind of legacy system or web application or any other system. So this is one kind of file pattern. So first what we did in the file integration pattern itself, it's a very simple integration, taking a data from one system A to B. So I'm just polling it, I'm processing the data to system B. So next, similar pattern, so a little bit complicated. So what we are doing is, the same information I wanted to exchange with multiple data. So once I pick it, I'm processing the data to few system. One system from ESB, I'm just converting to XML and sending through some transport protocol. Similarly, another system I'm converting as a flat file and sending to system C. The another system, it's a database system, I'm going to use JDBC, and then I'm going to insert the records to system D. So this is from system A. For example, system A is a file server. From there, you're polling and sending to multiple system. So similarly, if, for example, if you have a scenario like this, okay, so I'll just do another diagram where I have multiple system. Okay, so and I have a ESB here. So in this pattern, I'm receiving a data from the different system. Same purchase order data I'm receiving from multiple system to ESB. Okay, so from here I'm saying I'll receive it in a flat file format, and over I'm just picking the files via SFTP, and from this system I'm calling the ESB web service to send the data, to send the purchase order. And another system, I'm sending a data. Okay, maybe I'm sending the data over XML, and it could be FTP. Okay, so now I'm from the different system. System A, I'm receiving a flat file. System B, I'm receiving data via web service. System C, I'm receiving a data via XML. And ESB, what it does, it receives all the data. Maybe as it's SFTP, we might go and pick the data. As it's a web service, system B will invoke our ESB web service. System C, as it's XML and it's FTP, we might go and pick the data, and then from ESB we will go and pick the data and take it to ESB. And from here, I wanted to send it to file server. For example, ESB, and then for example, this is a system D, and this is a file server. So if I wanted to send all this data, so what I'll do in the ESB, I'll process the data to specific format, right? So I'll process the data, convert to XML, and send it via SFTP. So this one I'll do it via SFTP. So this is also file integration pattern only. So what we are doing is, from the heterogeneous system, from the different system, I'm receiving a data information in a different format and different protocol. I'm receiving it and processing into the common format, and whatever it's required for system D, I'm sending it over SFTP. So what we have seen in the file integration pattern itself, you have many things. One is simple. I'm taking a data, I'm exchanging information from one system to another system, just polling it and processing it. When I say process, it could be the same file or it could be in a different format. Okay, so second one is, I'm taking as one file, but I'm splitting and I'm sending the same data to multiple system through different protocol. And also there's a data transformation involved. So we are doing a conversion, one format to another format, we are doing conversion as well. And another one is, we are picking the data, or we are receiving the data from multiple system, and we are converting into the common format, and finally we are sending as XML to the system D via SFTP. So these are the file based integration pattern, which is one of the integration pattern which is commonly used and implemented via ESB. So when we will use it, mainly if there is a requirement, the legacy is generating a file, and then we need to give another system in a file. So then this kind of integration we need to use. Or there is a daily job, which is exporting a data which we need to give it to the downstream. Then we can go with this file based integration. Okay, so next one, JDBC integration pattern. So in the JDBC integration pattern, what we need to do is, it's mainly to do the database integration. For example, I am receiving a data from the database, and I need to give it in another system. Then we will be using a JDBC integration pattern. Okay, so now we are seeing what is database integration pattern. I'll just put simple diagram. For example, this is the legacy application, and we have a ESB. For example, we have a middleware ESB. The integration layer is there. And I need to send this data to some database. Okay, so far I'll say it is a Oracle database. Okay, so this is the JDBC pattern. For example, if I wanted to connect any resource, the database resource, the RDMS, then we will be using ESB. In ESB, most of the middleware, in order to connect to JDBC, you will have adapters. Through that, you can connect to different database. So that database module, or for example, if you see Software G web method, it has a JDBC adapter to connect the different database. If you say MuleSoft, it has a database module. Through that, you can connect to different database. Here, what we are doing is the legacy application will send the data to ESB via XML, for example. Okay, so then we are receiving it and then we are processing into database. So when I say processing to database, it could be any operation. For example, I have a select operation, or I have an insert operation, I have a delete operation. Those kind of operation we will be doing with this database pattern. Or JDBC integration pattern. So it's not only this way, so you can do it from the other way also. So when I say database, the database supports transaction. So you can control your transaction boundary. For example, I'm receiving a data and it has a 10 records, and when I insert it in between, it fails. So how do I want to roll back? So I wanted to roll back completely, or I wanted to roll back so I wanted to roll back entirely full set, or whatever I inserted, I wanted to have it. So those kind of things you can set it and you can manage it as well. So when I say the transaction management, this is not only with one database. With a normal transaction or local transaction, you can handle with one database. If you wanted to insert the same data to multiple database, for example, in addition to Oracle, I also wanted to send it to some other database. Okay, so for example, I wanted to send it to DB2. Okay, then that is also it's possible, and you can have your transaction boundary set, and also you can manage your transaction. For example, you wanted to roll back, if everything inside fine, if any one of them fails, you wanted to roll back in both, then you can do that kind of transaction management as well through XA transaction. So if you wanted to manage both resources, then you need to follow XA transaction. Or if you wanted to have only one database and you wanted to manage your transaction boundary rollback, so then you can use a local transaction. So this is one way. For example, from the legacy application, and you're sending the data, you're pushing the data to your database. Similarly, for example, I have in the database integration pattern, I have a data, and so for example, I'll say this is my MS SQL database, and you have your middleware here. So enterprise service bus, so it's your integration layer. So for example, I wanted to get the data. So one is you can poll the data every few minutes, okay, or whenever the data is get updated, I want to get notified. Okay, so that pattern is whenever the data are getting changed, or whenever the new table is row is getting inserted, then you will get notified to your ESB platform, because you will listen to that, and once the notification comes, that will have your data, which you can send it to any downstream system. For example, I wanted to send it to the data to some file server, okay, as a XML. So from ESB, what you can do, you can receive it, and in this one, you can do a notification. So here, it's kind of a listener. Okay, so you listen it, and then you will receive a notification, and from that, you'll process. So you'll process your data, and then it could be your XML data, and from there, XML will be sent it through any option. For example, it could be SFTP or FTP or any other protocol. Okay, so here it is any row or any new table is getting updated, and I wanted to process it to my downstream. So this is one way. So I'm listening it, whenever there is a data, it's getting updated or inserted, then I'm getting notified. The other way is I can also go, and from the ESB I can poll it for every 10 minutes, whatever the changes is happening in my database, and I can convert that into different format, and I can send it to my file server as well. So this kind of pattern is JDBC integration pattern. So next one is batch processing and scheduled job integration pattern. Okay, so now what we are going to see is, I'm just going to draw a diagram for the batch based and schedule based integration. So just do a file server. So this is for file server. So what we are doing is, so file server, and so I'll do one diagram for ESB or your integration layer, which is basically picking the file and sending to system B file server. Okay. So this is the batch based flow, batch processing or schedule based flow, the integration pattern. For example, I'm just fetching a file through FTP, okay, and it is running daily 9 p.m. 9 p.m. Anytime. So I'll just put 9 p.m. Singapore time, and ESB will run and it connects through this FTP, and it picks the files from this FTP server, and it sends to system B. It's also file server. So what I can do is, if I'm picking a file and this system might needs in a XML format, okay, and whatever this data, it is coming as a flat file. Okay, so the ESB, what it needs to do, it needs to, okay, so for example, I'm receiving a flat file which is having a 100k records. Okay, so this 100k records, I need to send it to in XML, so I need to transform to XML. So that is the service, the process service it does. It basically, whatever the records is there, record by record, it converts it, and then it transforms it, and it sends to the file server B. Okay, so it sends in XML, and also it will send it in any protocol. Okay, so for example, it says the file server, I might send it in a SFTP and over in XML format. Okay, so for example, I have one more system. This is a batch based, so I have received 100k record, so I wanted to insert this data to system C, okay, which is a database. Then what it, in this ESB or middleware layer does, it picks up the data, so what it does is, the ESB already received the data 100k record, and it sent the data to system B, and here the system C, it's a database. So ESB, what it does is, the whatever the record it received, it converts to JDBC, and then through JDBC protocol, it directly insert the records to the database. So as there are bulk record as part of the batch processing, the adapter will support the batch records insert instead of you're inserting all. So there are a few ways to insert, where you can individually insert, or you can by batch you can insert. For example, I wanted to insert 1,000 record at a time, so that in 100 different times I will insert all 100k records. So that is possible via ESB. So this batch based or the batch based scheduled integration pattern, what it will does is, there will be a batch based schedule. On the system A, or the source system will generate a files on a weekly basis or daily basis, and it exports the data. It could be your daily inventory, or it could be your the master data for the entire day changes, which comes as a file output, which I need to sync it back to my multiple down system. So that is what this batch processing integration pattern. So the next one is publish subscribe button. So in the publish subscribe button, so what will happen is I'll have a source. System A, publish the data to some, for example, I'll call this as a JMS provider, where it will have your queues and you'll have your topics. The system A, for example, send the data here, and using the middleware or the ESB, okay, so this is publish subscribe button, and so here what it happens is system A has a capability of sending the data to the JMS provider, which publish the data, and which system B is interested, and what the ESB is doing is it's subscribing the data from JMS, and it is publishing, or it's sending the data to the system. Okay, so in other way, what it can do is the ESB itself, 1 minute. So here in this case, because we are talking about the integration pattern, so here the system A, it's having integration capabilities. Through that, it's publishing the data to the JMS topic, and ESB, it is acting as a client. Okay, so this is one of the acting as a JMS consumer, or say JMS subscriber, or I will say it's called client, which subscribes the data and send it to system B. So here in this end-to-end, what is happening is publish subscribe, it's happening. So one system is publishing, the other system, the ESB, is receiving and sending the data to system B. So in the same case, the ESB also can publish the data, okay, and which multiple system can subscribe as well. So I'll do that diagram. For example, I have a ESB here. ESB. For example, system A sending some purchase order, which ESB is receiving it, and ESB is sending the data to JMS, and then from ESB itself we can have many subscriber. Okay, so I can put ESB diagram one more time for the better representation. So it's the same ESB which I wanted to subscribe the same data. Okay, so I'm subscribing from ESB. So what I'm doing is you just assume this, I'm send the data to some topic. So then what I can do is from ESB itself I can subscribe many, I can have many subscriber. So for example, for this example I'll have 2 subscriber. So then I can, what I can do is I can send it to this data to 2 different system as well. So this is system B. System C. So for this sample or this pattern, the integration pattern, what we are doing is it's a publish subscribe pattern. So earlier what we did is I am system A is sending the data, and this ESB is subscribing it. It's one to one, kind of a point to point. So maybe, in this example, it's more, if it's a one-to-one, we can send it to the queue. And if it's multiple, then, from, for example, this is a PO message I wanted to publish to the topic. And so, some platform, it's called topic, and some platform it's called exchange. And from there, there will be multiple subscriber can subscribe it. So for example, here, ESB having a capability subscribe based on different client, we can subscribe it. So I add a 2 subscriber at ESB, which subscribing the data, and I'm sending the data to different system. So this is publish subscribe button. Okay, so I'll just go to the next one. So next one is polling consumer pattern. Okay, so what we are going to do? So this is also with respect to the messaging only. So what is polling subscriber pattern? I'll just do, this is the ESB, and this is the JMS provider. So this could be your the messaging solution. It could be your universal messaging. If it is a software AG product, if it's a MuleSoft, then it could be Anypoint MQ. So this is the JMS provider, which I wanted to poll it. So what I'm doing is, from ESB, I'm polling every few minutes. Okay, so for example, every 30 minutes, I wanted to consume it. Okay, every 30 minutes, I will have a job which goes and check the message is there in that particular queue. Then it takes up all the message and it process to some other system. Okay, so I'll just process to system B. So for what it is happening, so every few minutes, 30 minutes, the ESB has a scheduling capability. From there, the jobs or the job runs every 30 minutes, and it's configurable, and it goes and check the JMS provider and the topic or queue, is there any message. Okay, so if that's a message, then it goes and picks the message, and it's sent to the downstream. So it could be any provider, it could be your universal messaging, or it could be your Kafka, or it could be your Anypoint MQ, or any other messaging platform. Through that, you can go and pull the data. Whatever it is there in the queue, you can go and pull it, and then, you can batch it in ESB, or, whatever the data it is available in individual record, you can send it to your system B. So we saw polling consumer and point-to-point integration pattern. These also we kind of saw it in this one, where it is okay. So point to point is I'll just do separate diagram. For example, for my use case, I wanted to send the data from one system to another system. For example, I wanted to send system A. So basically, I wanted to exchange the information from one system to another system through the integration layer. So it's a system A, and I have a system B, and if I have a ESB here, so it's point to point. So I'm taking it from one system and I'm giving to another system. Or system A, this is also point to point, but most of the scenario, if the system A is a capability to send the data directly to system B, so if it is like this also, if you don't have ESB here, if you have only system A and system B, then also it's considered as a point to point only. Okay, so this is the point to point, and then I'll just go to the another button, operating system command execution pattern. Okay, I'll not draw any diagram for this one, so better I'll explain, or I'll just put simple diagram. So for example, from the integration layer, if you are invoking any system command, for example, I have ESB, and from there I'm going to call some bash program. okay, or some shell script. Okay, so for example, I have a in the same system itself, for example, I have some shell program dot sh program, okay, so which I wanted to invoke. Okay, so for example, I'm executing some operation OS level command. Okay, so then this kind of pattern, it's called as operation system command execution pattern. Okay, so now we are seeing what are the different integration design patterns are available, and this is one of the pattern, guaranteed delivery message pattern. Okay, so this is for example, I have an integration layer. So we are going to talk about the guaranteed delivery message pattern. For example, I have received some data, okay, to the integration layer. I'm sending to some downstream. Okay, the downstream is failed. Okay, so it's I'm unable to connect. Still, I need to send the data to downstream. So if it's a guaranteed delivery message pattern, means the message is very important. At any cost, I need to send the data. So what this integration platform will do, if the system is not able to connect, it will queue the data on the integration layer, and it in turn does the health check against the downstream. Is it available? Okay, so it's keep on checking it. When it is available, it push the data. So this is what it does in the guaranteed delivery pattern. So whatever it is coming, the message is very important, and if I wanted to send some data to the downstream, then if system is, because no, due to some connectivity or due to some maintenance or due to some network glitch, I'm unable to connect to the downstream system. Then if my message is important, it's a very important order message, it's a customer order, customer, I need to deliver the goods, then I cannot simply miss the message, or I cannot delay the message. So I need to send the message whenever the system is up. So I'll keep on retying. My resource monitoring service will in turn check the, or the health check service will check in turn the service is available or not, the backend service. Once available, whatever the queue data is there, it will process the data to the downstream. So this is what we will do it in the guaranteed delivery integration pattern, the guaranteed delivery message pattern. So next one is web service synchronous consumer pattern. Okay, so for example, you have a ESB, and for example, you have a source system, system A. System A wanted to call some web service. System B. So here also it's web service. Okay, so for example, I'll say it's a SOAP based, and ESB web service is REST based. For example, okay, so it could be your SOAP or REST. Better I'll just put SOAP or REST. Okay, so which you have exposed from ESB, and system A, it's calling that web service. So here, so what pattern is we are seeing? Synchronous consumer pattern. Okay, the system A is going to invoke some service which is available in system B, which is going via ESB. Okay, so the it's kind of getting customer detail. For example, this I have a portal which whenever my customer logs into the system, it needs to fetch the customer related information from system B, and it needs the latest data in a real-time manner. So then what we will do, we will have a web service which is mainly used for this kind of pattern, which immediately picks the data from the system B. So whenever the system A requests the data via web service via ESB, it in turn talks to system B and gives the data back. So in a synchronous, it's a request reply pattern. So immediately you want the response. So which is a synchronous pattern. Next one is web service pass through provider, web service provider pass through option. So in this one, what we will do is the ESB layer, whatever the service the backend system provides, which we will consume it, and we will act as a provider. We basically host their web service. Whatever the communication comes from external world, it comes to ESB, and it will in turn, it calls that. It's this kind of a pass through service. So this is one of the pattern. So these are the different integration design pattern. So there are many patterns available, and mainly I wanted to cover in this exercise or in this class mainly about this pattern. So I'll just give a summary what we tried today. in the integration platform, any platform you use, you could be working in a TIBCO or Software Edge Web Methods or MuleSoft. Whenever we apply any requirement into the implementation, we need to think about what is the pattern I'm going to apply it for this particular requirement. Which one will suit? The customer needs the data in a real time, then I'll go for a web service pattern. If the customer needs the data at the end of the day, and system A will generate a data once a day, then do I need to go for the batch based integration pattern? And when I gather the requirement, is it something like I need to deliver the message in a guaranteed manner? Is that message is more important for the downstream? Then we need to have a guaranteed delivery pattern. As part of this flow, do I need to send this data to multiple systems? For example, I have a master data, so the product is getting created, so it's a master data, so I need to give it to multiple systems. Do I need to have a which kind of pattern? Is it a web service pattern or it's a publish subscribe pattern? So based on the requirement, for example, I have a data which I need to send it to multiple system, then you can go for a publish subscribe pattern. So for example, in your use case, you need to interact with multiple database, then you will go through JDBC integration pattern. Some of the system will have an adapter module which will connect to resource, which will connect to the specific resource. The adapter will help to manage the transaction boundary and connection pooling and so on. So based on our requirement, we need to think about what are the integration pattern we can use for our use case. Thank you for watching. And if you need any other integration related video, so what you can do is you can go to YouTube and you can search my channel Tech Lightning. And for example, if you search Tech Lightning, it will come. So this is my channel, and there are a lot of integration related videos are there, and some of the videos from the MuleSoft topic, and which you can go through, and you just see and let me know your feedback. If you like the video, share it with your friends, and if you have any comment, you comment in the same video, and also subscribe the video for more integration related topic. Thank you for watching. Thank you. Bye bye.